Hello and welcome to today's lesson. Before we get started, I have an LOT question that we'll review from yesterday, so I would like you to please pause the video, and when you're ready to go over the answer, please press resume to check your work. Alright, welcome back. Let's go ahead and take a look at this here. It says 2 stores advertise sales on their websites as shown below. Before the sale, each sweater costs $35, so there's my starting cost there. Which store offers the better deal? So the store on the left here, I have $5 off. So if the starting cost is $35 and they're taking $5 off, their cost of the sweater is going to be $30. My store on the right, however, has 15% off, so I'm going to need to set up a percent proportion. I don't know the amount of the discount, but I know that the whole price is $35. Then I have percent, which is 15 over 100. 35 times 15 is 525 equals 100x. Divide by 100 and we get that x equals 525. So a couple of things here. If I do 35 minus 525, I do notice that this sweater is going to be just a little bit cheaper, $29.75. So I can compare that value, or I can compare the dollar amount that will be taken off. And notice with either of those two values, I do notice that my store on the right is going to be my better deal. So let's keep going here today and take a look at our objective for today. Before we get there though, I want to remind you this is our last lesson for Chapter 2. So if you did not already pick up your study guide from the table by the computer cart, you need to make sure to do that today. That will not be graded, but it is a packet for you to review and feel good about the test that we will be taking. Our test is on Thursday. So today, our objective is that you all mathematicians can find the percent of change when taking a look here at percents. So today, vocabulary, a percent of change is a percent change expresses the amount of change as a percent of an original amount. So instead of saying the change between these two values is 10, we will be looking at the percentage that increased or decreased. We have a percent increase if the new amount is greater than the original, so if a price goes up, price increase. And then we also have a percent decrease if the new amount is less than the original. So when we're looking at percent change, most of the time I have seen students use this top formula here, but I have also seen some students use the bottom, so I have them both up here. Percent change equals the amount of increase or decrease divided by the original amount. A shorthand way of remembering this is percent change is new amount minus old amount divided by the old amount. So new minus old divided by old. The reason that I see more people use the top rather than the bottom, the top will always give you a positive percentage number, which is really in the end what we want, but you have to state whether that percentage is an increase or a decrease. With the bottom, we will end up with a positive value if it is an increase and a negative value if it's a decrease. The thing you have to be careful of there is if you have a negative with a decrease, you do want to make it positive and say that it is a decrease and not just leave it as a negative value. So just kind of watch out for that as we work here today. So, problem number 1. A coat is on sale. The original price of the coat is $82. The sale price is $74.50. What is the discount expressed as a percent change? So I am thinking about that formula that I saw on the previous slide. The percent change is equal to the difference between my amounts divided by my original amount. So when I'm looking at that, I first of all notice that the original price was $82, the sale price is $74.50. So I already know that I'm going to have a percentage of decrease in the price. So I like to start by writing that down so I don't forget. So a percent decrease, and then I'm going to plug things into my formula. The difference between my two numbers, so 82 minus 7450. 82 minus 7450 is 750. And we're going to divide that by the original amount divided by 82. And then multiply that by 100 to convert it to an actual percent. And we should get 9.14631463. I'm going to round that to the hundredths place here today, and I have 9.15%. Okay, something to remember that is not in the formula. It was not in the formula to multiply your answer by 100. That is something that you simply need to be aware of and keep track of yourself, because if you divide 7.5 by 82, you get a decimal, 0.09146, and it continues on. However, that is not a value as a percentage, and so in order to convert it to a percent, we do multiply that by 100. All right, let's take a look at the next problem here. If you feel confident, please go ahead and pause the video. If you're not quite sure, I would encourage you as well to pause the video and just press play when you get stuck or when you get to an answer to check your thinking. All right, let's take a look here. The average monthly precipitation for Chicago peaks in June at 4.1 inches. The average monthly precipitation in December is 2.8 inches. What is the percent of change from June to December? So this tells me that my starting point is June, my original amount is June, my new value is my December. So I do notice already that I'm going from 4.1 to 2.8, so I am going to have a percent of decrease. So my percent change is the difference between the two divided by the original. So the difference between 4.1 and 2.8 is 1.3. And I'm going to want to divide that by the original amount. Which again gives me that decimal point 31707, and it continues on. Multiply that by 100 to convert it to a percent, and I have a 31.71% decrease. So the amount of precipitation decreased 31.71% from June to December. All right, so let's take a look here. This notice in the caption at the top, it does say that we are going to be finding the percent increase, so we should anticipate things going up. A store buys an electric guitar for $295. The store then marks up the price of the guitar to $340. So this is going to be a markup, an increase, obviously, as it says in the caption at the top in the title. What is the percent of change? So I am going to go ahead and write down that it was a percent increase again so that I don't forget. My formula does not change. The difference between the two divided by the original amount. So the difference between 340 minus 295, and I'm going to divide by the original, and here's where you have to be careful. Which one is the original? They originally bought the guitar for $295, so that's going to be the amount that I divide by. So 340 minus 295 is 45, divided by 295 gives me again that decimal, but if I multiply by 100, I can notice that it is a 15.25% increase in price. All right, once again, if you feel comfortable, and even if you don't, I would encourage you to pause the video and try this question on your own. When you are stuck or done, please resume the video to check your work. All right, let's take a look here at this question. In 1 year, the toll for passenger cars to use a tunnel rose from $3 to $3.50. Even that word rose already tells me that I am dealing with a percent of increase from 3 to 350. So I'm going to be subtracting 350 minus 3 and dividing by that original amount of $3. So I've got 50 cents divided by $3 to determine that this is a 16.67% increase. Once again, I am continuing to round to the hundredths place after I multiply by 100 to get my decimal, or I'm sorry, to get my percent. So as we look here, this is extremely similar to the percent of change, except instead of calling it percent of change, we're looking at the relative error. So we are taking a look at the difference between the estimated value of something and the actual value of something. In this formula, you'll notice the absolute value symbols, and that's another thing that we sometimes see to help us keep the numbers positive and then know if we were a percentage higher or a percentage lower. When we use this, it is called the percent of error. Okay, so we have the measured slash the estimated minus the actual divided by the actual. So again, very similar to our percent of change. So take a look here. A decorator estimates that a rectangular rug is 5 by 8. The rug is actually 4 by 8. What is the percent error in the estimated area? So you will notice that I am going to be comparing the areas. Need to make sure I remember how to find area. The area of the first rug, I'm going to multiply. 5 by 8 is 40 square feet. And my actual size here, 4 by 8, I'm going to multiply again, 4 by 8, to know that the actual area is 32. So I'm going to take my estimated value, which was 40, minus my actual value, which was 32, and then divide by 32. So 40 minus 32 is 8. And when I divide 8 by 32, and multiply by 100, I notice that my percent of error, the percent I was off in my estimation, was 25%. All right, so this last question, you will notice in the title it says complete it in your notes. You should have been taking notes the whole time, and you will need to show me your notes and this last question in order to receive your assignment today. So please make sure that you complete this in your notebook.